So the event series is one of our best-selling series. Over the course of the last several years, it's actually our #1 bestseller at DOS Audio. 2.5 pieces get sold every hour, so as you can imagine, that adds up real quick. There's a lot of units out there worldwide, and one thing we're very proud of is the level of consistency in our product and quality, hence leading to a very reliable product, which is actually well below 1% as far as any failure rate of these boxes. When you buy it into the event series from DOS Audio, you know that you're getting a good quality product and good reliable product, which obviously at the end of the day is pretty much the most important thing with any product. There's several things to keep in mind concerning the event series in general. One about the concept, and that is that we try to make them as strong as possible. Now, most of our competition does give you at that price point, at that level, polypropylene speakers or plastic speakers. DOS Audio gives you a wooden box that's stronger, more durable, and with better sound quality than polypropylene or than plastic. Of course, it includes our Isoflex paint coating and the actual box and the boxes components, the hardware. It's all treated for IP rating as well. It's versatile, so the event series can be flown or stacked. It also, for some of the smaller models, we also do have a pole mount feature as well. And it's intuitive, meaning it's very simple, relatively speaking, series to use. We like to say press, plug, and play. So plug and play, that's what a lot of people are generally looking for, is having that ability to really just get a system up in the air or stacked, however it may be, up and running quickly so that they can go ahead and do their show. So the event series has all of that. The event series is a family of loudspeakers. We have a stage monitor in the series, we have a couple subwoofers, and we have several different size or format tops, line array tops. We'll start with the monitor here today. It is the Event M210A. That, as the name implies, is a double 10 monitor. It is a three-way design, so triamped, of course. It's got a compression driver, which is the M60 driver, which is a 3-inch voice coil, 1-inch exit compression driver made by DOS Audio, as with most of our components, which are made by us. We don't use a third-party component company for about 98% of our products. The horn design is asymmetrical. The vertical dispersion has 20 degrees upwards dispersion and 30 degrees downwards. So it's actually very makes things very convenient on a stage, especially where a singer likes to get right up close to the and on top of the monitor. You don't waste dispersion or sound pressure coming out of that monitor. The Event 218A has been historically our best-selling subwoofer in this series. Of course, it's been out since day one. It's been out for the 4 or 5 years that the series has been out. It's relatively compact, 154 pounds for a double 18 subwoofer is really not bad. And its dimensions make it easily to transport. We do sell transport dollies where you can easily transport 2 or 3 subwoofers on them and get them through a door, whether it be in a nightclub or a performance venue. It is a high-powered, self-powered subwoofer system. It's 1800 watts RMS power, 3600 watt peak, and it does employ 2 of our 18LX proprietary drivers with 4-inch voice coils. It's a bass reflex type configuration. And again, it uses our ISOFlex black paint, which is high resistance paint. At 140 dB, 140 decibels max volume, it is no slouch. And lastly, but certainly not unimportant, our cardioid preset. Our cardioid presets with most of our pro type subwoofers allow for you to do cardioid functions. What do I mean by that for some of you that might not know? Cardioid configuration for subwoofers basically allows, here's a polar pattern of the subwoofer frequencies, the sub-frequencies of this particular system, where the audience area is out here. This would be theoretically your point of reference, maybe right in front of your stage, of course, where subwoofers typically are. And rearwards, as we all know, typically you get a lot of low end back there. Well, with this type of configuration with a cardioid preset punched in, most of that low end, a lot of it is knocked out, anywhere from 6 to 9 dB of cancellation, and literally at the press of a switch. That pressing of the switch swaps polarity for you and adjusts for gain and time compensation. Obviously, doesn't get much easier than that, and it does do the trick. Our other subwoofer in that series is the Event 121A. Again, it's relatively portable and compact because it is a 21-inch driver. Obviously, the frequency response is a little bit lower than the Event 218, but it's a direct radiating and rear-loaded 21-inch, 1600 watts for that single driver. Again, no slouch. It's also employs and uses the cardioid preset. And as with the other subwoofer, also it's got a high pass output for satellites, which has a switchable high pass filter on that as well. The 2 rear wheels, as you see on here, are included for transport, although these little feet on there are also allowed to be deployed sideways or transported sideways. And this subwoofer is 141 dB, so it's slightly louder than the Event 218. So now we start getting into the line array tops, and here's definitely one of our best sellers and most popular, and that's the Event 208A. It is a true 3-way self-powered design. One of the 8-inch drivers is doing low functions. The other one's doing low and mid. And then, of course, you've got a compression driver handling the high, mid, and high frequencies. It is a Class D powered loudspeaker, so it's relatively light for being a true line array and a wooden box. Again, most other manufacturers at this class, at this level, give you a plastic speaker, but we do the wooden speakers to give you the better value for that. It's got easy DSP configuration, which I'll get into a little bit more in a moment, and it uses Neutrik connectors on it, standard Neutrik with obviously inputs and outs. It uses our M75 compression driver, which is actually our best compression driver. So although this is not our most expensive line array series, we do use our best compression driver in it. At 132 dB, again, it's not a slouch. This is a birch enclosure, by the way. It's discreet and professional. The steel uh, hardware, the grill, the hardware pieces on the sides are treated. So it does have some weather resistant features. Now that does not mean waterproof, but it does handle weather pretty well. The Easy DSP, um, which includes a downfield mode, is basically a ray compensation. So it allows you to re-EQ the system for to a certain degree. Basically, you're compensating for the coupling effect that is inherent with line array. So you're not EQing the system, so to speak. I kind of misspoke there. For that, you do need an external source, as in a DSP or controller, like our DSP 226 or our new DAS IO48 to allow you full control and full DSP and tuning of a full sound system. But on a box by box basis, the onboard DSP does handle crossover, compression, and equalization functions. And this is one way that you can adjust that EQ a little bit, and that is to do compensation for when you're adding boxes. So here in this slide, we show what the frequency response of one box would typically be. As the picture kind of designates, the one box that we're getting the frequency response there, right at ear level here, is that third box. And this is what you would normally typically see out of that one box. Once you start adding boxes, as you can expect, low and mid frequencies start coupling together. And most of that is desired. That's what you want out of a line array system. You want that coupling, but if you're not careful, it can get away on you. It can get on the control on you, and hence why you need array compensation. And so here's this green line here denotes what this full system, just 4 boxes, and for most people, for most manufacturers, and most people's opinion, 4 boxes is where line array starts. Regardless of what you've seen sometimes out there on the market with people deploying loudspeakers in their venues, 4 line array boxes is where the line array effect starts. So in order to compensate for the phenomenon, DOTS has created the number of units feature in the Easy DSP. And the phenomenon being is this overcoupling, this too much coupling of the low mid frequencies. And so that's what our number of units corrects for. And that is obviously something that you would normally find in other boxes, but in a much more complicated fashion. Again, this is meant to be used with ease. The Event 210A, as well as the 208, has the same features. So with just one, as I mentioned, with just one finger and with a couple touches, possible to maximize and do corrections to the system very, very easy and make the system sound homogenic. And here's the Event 210 that I just alluded to here a second ago. So it is the bigger brother to the Event 208. It is also self-powered, has all the same features, the high-end DSP components, easy DSP configuration, M75 driver. It is just slightly louder at 134 decibels. But again, everything that was true about the 208 as far as features and ease of use is true for the 210. The Event 210, 208, excuse me, its frequency response is from 70 to 500. That's what the low frequencies are doing. The mid frequencies are handling from 100 hertz and to 1000. The high frequencies are handling from 1K and up. So as you can tell, there's a difference in the low mid frequencies on these systems, and the difference corresponds to the 2 dB, that difference in overall SPO volume. So on the back of the unit, this is the back of the amplifier unit. You've obviously got the connection for signal input, a loop through, limit lights, signal lights, obviously the power on, and then presets for the number of units and the AC inputs and outputs. This is what one of our DSPs look like, by the way. And this is what's controlling everything, all those functions inside this loudspeaker. So last but not least in our wooden event series is the Event 210, 212, excuse me. It is also self-powered, Class D amplification, three-way. In this case, 500 watts continuous, 1000 watts peak. The Event 212 does have almost identical features to the 208 and then some, and to the 210, to its two smaller brothers. The main thing that's different about it is DOS control. It does have a display on the back that gives you access to the features that the 208 and 210 have available, but in a little bit easier fashion. We'll get more into the display and the DOS control in just a moment. And one other thing it does add is that there's a 90-degree horizontal dispersion version, as the 208 and 210 are as well, but there's also a 120-degree version in this model, and only the 212 model. DOS Audio is proud that for many years we've been using FIR filters, and for those of you that are not familiar with them, FIR filters is basically a filter set that improves the frequency response and phase response of the loudspeakers. With FIR filters, all of the frequencies, particularly at the crossover points, are better controlled, bringing you much better intelligibility and definition. We've been using FIR filters in our cabinets for many years, although nowadays it's become more of a buzzword. So this is the back display, the rear display for the Event 212. Once you're in the menu, besides the number of units, which you can switch digitally here, you also have a high pass filter, and you've got 3 positions for that: 80, 100, and 125. You're able to adjust the throw. Now, I'll explain throws again, a little bit more in a moment, but basically you have 5 different, excuse me, throw settings, mid being the default setting, and that's the out of the box. That's the way the box is set up for mid throw. But you've got mid long and long settings for longer audience areas, and mid short and shorter for the boxes that are aimed at the near audience. The audience is near your stage. Here we've got some comparison features in a venue or an area that's 25 meters long and 8 boxes per side, and typical frequency response of the various systems and what is expected out of them. In green, you'll see the Event 208s and their decibel level. 210s are slightly louder, and the 212s, of course, the bigger box, the more powerful box. you get quite a bit of SPL. You will notice that some frequency response, particularly from about 250, 300 and up, is very similar for all three boxes. Of course, that's because the drivers are made by us, and the voicing of the drivers is identical. So that is one key feature with DAS Audio, because we make our own drivers, is that the voicing of our cabinets and the frequency responses can be very homogeneous across the various boxes, for sure inside a series and even across various different series. And in case any of you are wondering, yes, you are able to underhang either the 208 or the 210 with a transition bumper under the 212 if needed. In reality, the best underhang or the best downfill box is the same box. And for that reason, we make a 120-degree version of the Event 212. But for folks that already own a 208 or 210, they're able, with the use of the transition bumper, to hang their existing boxes with the Event 212. So you don't have to sell those, you don't have to get rid of them, you don't have to deploy them somewhere else. If you already own Event 208 or 210s and you want to deploy them with 212s and start getting into some 212s, you can do so. Of course, all of these boxes that I've been speaking about, because of the Class D technology, it makes them very, very efficient energy-wise. Both the 208 and 210 are 540 watts continuous, 1080 peak, draw less than 3 amps per cabinet at full tilt. That means that on a 20 amp circuit at 15 volts, you can run 6 boxes easy. The Event 212, the bigger box at 1500 watts, only draws 4 amps from the wall. Again, that makes it very easy to loop a lot of boxes, 5 boxes in the case of the 212 on one circuit. And if you happen to be running this, of course, our product is made in Spain. If you happen to be running them at 220 volts in your particular country, those amperage ratings drop by half. It's half of what I was just mentioning. So we have different configurations, or there are various configurations that you can use with the boxes, either with the 218 sub or the 121 sub, and obviously 3 different size tops gives you a lot of different possibilities, both for your main systems, for your delay systems, for your front fills, and for your out fills. Of course, I'm alluding to larger shows where you have outdoor festivals, outdoor shows, where you have a large and/or a deep audience area. So the fact that you can deploy these systems up to 16 boxes deep flown means that you can do a pretty nice size audience area. And here's a few more examples of some other configurations. Here's possibly a club system configuration with 4 tops stacked on top of 2 double 18s. Of course, you would deploy the proper setting of 4 boxes to get the array compensation done properly. And you can choose to loop through your signal through the 218 with a high pass filter up to the tops, or run them separate. That is your choice. My personal preference is to use a DSP to do that externally, but there's no reason why you can't come straight out of the board into your sub, your lower sub, loop up, and start looping. This is the signal chain here in the blue. Absolutely possible to do, although it is recommended that you use a controller at times to give you maximum control. In a flown configuration, there, for time alignment purposes and because it's typically a larger system, at that point, you do want to definitely start looking into a DSP. And again, we've got various options. We've got 4 different options to give you there, starting with the 226. Here, you would send a separate signal to the subwoofers out of your DSP, which is band pass, high pass, and low pass, and then a high pass signal up to the tops. And high pass meaning that you're rolling off or you're crossing over that signal, possibly 80, 90, or 100 hertz, whatever happens to work or whatever your preference is. But this is a 6/3 system, and you're noticing probably that the recommended, typically with most DOS systems, the recommended ratio for tops to subs is 2 tops to 1 sub is very typical for most of our systems. Here's a much larger system, 12 boxes aside of the 210 with 6 double 18. Obviously, this would be for a nice size show, nice size area with 12 boxes aside. You could definitely do 250, maybe even 300 feet. Once you start getting to close to 300, you might want to start thinking about delays. But even though the 208 and 210 are not large boxes, they're considered compact size. There's no reason why you can't do an audience area of that size. That's 200, 250 feet plus deep, where you might be able to get 5, 6, maybe 8 or 10,000 people. There's definitely enough power packed into these systems that you can easily do that. So this is again a very typical configuration for these loudspeakers. And then last but not least, here's another standard configuration with 12, 12 boxes total of the event 212. Now, as this implies up here at the top, the first 10 boxes are the regular 90-degree version of the 212A, and the 2 bottom boxes, so these 2 down here, are the 120-degree or downfill version. In this case, what the display is showing you here on the DOS control is that we've applied the 12 unit setting. We've applied a high pass filter in this example of 80 hertz. We've thrown most of the boxes into mid throw, and display is narrow. That's one of the features also built in as far as controlling your line array aspects. Not all these boxes would remain in mid. Once you get the system deployed and you start looking, you start listening and/or start doing some tuning with software like Smart Live or any other measurement software, the top 3, maybe 4 boxes, you might end up switching to long throw or long mid to give you a little high frequency boost. And that's what that throw setting is doing. It's either doing a boost to the high frequencies or a cut to the high frequencies, so that you're not killing the people that are up close to the stage. Now, by default, the 120-degree versions, because their dispersion is wider, it's already inherently doing a small decibel cut to the high frequencies already, and that's just a natural cut as because of the design. Again, in all those cases, that throw, you're only affecting the high frequencies or the high frequency driver of the array. You're not touching your lows, you're not touching your mids. So the line array effect and the coupling of that is still there. You're not messing with that. Again, for more information, you can go to event.dosaudio.com for more information. Gio has already posted on the chat, has posted those couple quick links. We've got a few more slides to go through here, but this is where you would also find our event simulator. So our event simulator is just that. It gives you an idea of what system size you might need to deploy for a particular system, and whether it is going to be flown or stacked. It is a handy tool for especially when you're first thinking about purchasing an event series, knowing what size boxes you're and or type and quantity of boxes you're going to want to need. Of course, your sales rep, either myself or any of my colleagues at work, or Geo, who's in tech support, can also guide you in this process. But that event simulator is a handy tool. Um, it is based on Ease Focus, and Ease Focus is a software that typically is used when flying our large sound systems. Um, and this being a pro system, a pro style system, this is no the event system certainly applies. Now, the simulator only on our website only applies to the event series, not to any other series. But again, it's a very handy tool to be able to figure out how many boxes you're going to need, and then finally, what you expect to see out of that sound system. So on this is the view from Ease Focus, where first of all, you see a side view of the system and how the angles are, how it's rigged. Again, over here, those same angles are also shown, and this is a visual confirmation of the angles that Ease Focus is recommending for you. After employing some of the filter settings, as in the number of units that are on board on the cabinets, then this software predicts both from a top view and a side view where your sound pressure is going to be focused and what frequencies as well. Um, of course, here with the colors and this meter over here, it gives you an idea decibel wise what to expect. Now I'm not really sure which system we're looking at here. It's hard for me to see. It looks like a 208A. But as you can see, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes, yes, I've been confirmed it's a 208A, the voice in my head. So with 6 boxes in a and I apologize, I can barely see even with my reading glasses on. I can barely see the size. Okay. All right, so it's showing us an audience area in meters, and this system's flown theoretically at 4.7 meters, almost 5 meters high. But in any case, this is just an example of what that tool would allow you to do, and allow you to make sure that you have enough PA and that you're flying it properly. So I guess this slide just shows you again a configuration view of the system that you've done or you've configured in the simulator. And this would be a recap of that, as well as this page, you would get a recap of how many units of each type and some of the accessories that you would need. And the SPL levels that you can expect. Now there is a range here, and it's 8 dBs is a bit of a range, but because there are a lot of variables that apply, both humidity, temperature, style of music. There's several things that could affect the overall performance of the system. But in general speaking, this type system, this many boxes would be good for an area that's 30 by 30 meters and roughly 3,600 people. Don't take those numbers 100% to heart, meaning, as I said, there's a lot of variables that apply. But again, this is a good, comfortable working starting point for knowing how your system is going to perform and what size system you will require. here's a couple more slides. We're almost done with our presentation, and here's a couple more slides of the event series in use. I don't remember where this was, but literally at an outdoor venue, clearly, with snow all around it, and you better believe it must have been cold there. But because of the weather resistancy of our loudspeakers, this system continues to work, and will do so, not a problem. That's one of the things, again, that we're proud of, the robustness of our loudspeaker systems and how weather resistant they are. In Florida, where we're based out of in the United States, whenever you deploy a system like this, almost any time of year, practically it seems, even though summertime is supposed to be rainy season, you can deploy this in January, February, or March, and sure enough, it's going to rain on you. And so this, the weather resistancy of our loudspeakers certainly gets tested. So this is just one typical setup and one typical venue. Looks like this area here is roughly what was shown in our simulation, 30 meters by 30 meters, give or take, it looks like. All right, so folks, thank you very much. Once again, my name is Carlos. I work out of the Miami headquarters for Das Audio. And as always, thank you for supporting and for being interested in Das Audio. Thanks very much, guys. Bye-bye.